Hi, I'm Jelena.
And I'm David.
And welcome to our YouTube channel.
That's right, Jelena. This is our YouTube channel. Welcome.
So this week we're going to look at Garbha Pindasana.
Garbha Pindasana. Garbha means womb.
Oh, I hate that.
Uterus. And
Yes.
Pinda means embryo or ball.
And then we're also going to look at Kukkutasana.
Kukkuta means rooster. It actually means cock, which is another word for rooster. So we just say rooster because it sounds better.
Yeah. And the reason why we're looking at both of them together is that in the practice, when you get to this pose, you always are taught both of them at the same time.
That's right.
And they're very, very challenging.
But before we tell you anything else about today's tutorial, we want to ask you to like it, to subscribe, and to comment. Yeah, tell us something about us or about yourself. Maybe there's just a fact that you want us to know.
Or maybe what you want to see us do next.
Oh, that you could do that. And share it. Share it. There must be somebody you know that also wants to see this.
Mm-hmm. All right. So these two poses come in the later half of the primary series. And they're kind of the peak of like a really difficult, messy part of the primary series.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that comes after them, it starts to settle a little bit more. These poses require a lot of openness in the hip.
Yeah, you have to go into Lotus pose, full Lotus, which can be hard.
Very challenging, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you got to stuff your arms through your full Lotus, also hard.
And then you got to rock around unassisted, make it all the way back to the front of the mat, and then rock into that rooster pose, which is, again, really difficult because your arms are kind of like trapped between your legs. And so you have to be very careful and then balance for another 5 breaths.
As we talk about this, I'm just realizing how stupid it is, how ridiculous. It's like, the posture, it kind of looks okay when you're doing Garbha Pindasana, but when you start rocking, it becomes like ridiculous.
It does, yeah. I remember seeing it the first time in the room and it was like one of the poses, like everyone's doing all kinds of things in the room, like all levels, but that always is like, what?
People always like, they'll laugh or they cry when they do this, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember learning it and falling over and feeling so vulnerable, like really, really deep feeling of that vulnerability because I was feeling so stuck and I couldn't really move, and you are at the mercy of a teacher to come back and put you onto your back.
Which the teacher shouldn't actually do. Traditionally, you're supposed to be able to go around on your own. So I've heard Shiraji say, let them suffer when somebody is rolled over and you feel like a little T-Rex with your hands there and you're trying to right yourself and it's really hard to get up. But you're supposed to work there and kind of gain that skill on your own. So if somebody rights you when you roll over, you
pull your arms
out, yeah, you give up, then you never really get that kind of shifting that needs to come from the core that'll get you back up.
Yeah.
That's also what you need to rock around.
Yeah, and that's why it's important, just that learning to connect to your core, to be able to rock back is something that then teaches you also to be able to rock all the way around.
Yeah, and so this would be a gatekeeper, like you're supposed to be able to do this pose before you would move on to the next pose.
And that's why we don't teach modifications for this pose. Like you wouldn't start this pose by not going into the Lotus because it's easier to rock around in like a modified version.
Yeah. Well, we do offer modifications if if there's something going on with the knee.
Yeah.
So if you were able to do it or something and then your knee hurts, I mean, you could always just do this with your legs crossed.
Yeah. You would go
Yeah.
and do something like this.
But we wouldn't teach it this way from the beginning because it's not the pose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to do the pose, of course, you have to be able to do the full lotus. And we have a tutorial on that. And we also have a tutorial on just how to keep your knees safe. So make sure you check that out. But here's a good thing. This is one of the rare props that we can use in Ashtanga, which is water. So if you walk into a traditional Mysore room, you'll see that there's bottles of water everywhere. So this is where you can use to kind of spray your legs and spray your arms in hopes of getting them through.
Yeah, if you're not sweaty enough.
Or if you're just a little bit sweaty, which is even worse. Like if you're just a little sweaty.
You have to be really sweaty for it to, or I have to be really sweaty to be able to get straight into it.
Or you can shave your legs.
Yeah.
That helps.
You can do that. We actually have another tutorial. I'll post on how to shave your legs. No, we don't. But maybe if you want to see something like that, let us know.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So it's an acceptable thing to spray your legs if you need to.
And so the tip number one would be if you're new to this pose and you're learning it or you're having a hard time with it, practicing in the shorts makes a big difference because skin on skin will make it easier to get your arms through. Or if you can, roll up your leggings so that you have more skin exposed, and then spray. So before you get into the lotus, spray a lot of water on your legs and your arms and then kind of rub it in. I know it sounds silly, but it does make a big difference, and then come into the full
Makes a huge
lotus.
difference.
It makes a huge difference, yeah. It just sounds like a silly tip, but it's a big difference.
Yeah. And I need to be sweaty to do that, or I need the water. So I'm always amazed by when Jelena can do this just so easily without it. But look.
But it wasn't like this always.
No.
I needed to use a lot of water before, so I don't know. I'm not sure what changed.
Maybe sort of oil production increased in your...
No, a dry skin.
Okay, so we're assuming a full lotus is happening. If it's not, then we told you the modification, but this probably isn't the video for you right now. If you can get into your full lotus, first thing is the tighter you get your lotus, the easier it is to get your arms through. It's kind of counterintuitive, but the tighter you bring your lotus together, see Jelena is flexing her feet to squeeze the thighs in towards each other. You increase the distance here, or the, like, yeah, you make that line longer, but from the knee to the foot. And the higher you can go towards the hips when you're putting your arms through, the easier it is.
And so, of course, just to emphasize it, but we put the arms in front of our feet, not kind of behind and in front or something like that. So both have to go into this space here.
Yeah.
So the way I do it, the right arm always goes through first. And so I will use my left hand to just pull the foot towards my belly. Be careful not to lift as you do that and as you kind of struggle, because that's going to create pressure on your knee, and that's not a good thing. So here, not only do I squeeze by flexing my feet, but then I'll also use my arm. And then to get the arm through, you actually have to lean back and lift your knees towards the chest. So maybe I'll turn to the side. It's easier to see. So I lean back and I just lift my knees up first, and then I can do that holding on with my left, what's this?
Hand.
Sometimes English is like, it just, things get blurred. So with my left hand, I'm holding my left foot and I'm pulling it in towards the belly, and then the right arm goes first. And as it goes through, make sure you're kind of like corkscrewing it, and at first you probably just stop here you'll be like a little T-Rex, like the arm will be stuck, but that's okay. Just stay with that there. Eventually, the arm will get all the way through. And then, we're going to put the other arm through. To put the arm through, you want to push this foot. So again, thank you, David, into the arm. And as I do that, here, maybe you can see it creates a little bit of more space than when it's just here. So as I push my left foot into my right arm, then I create space for the left to come through. And then my tip is always you can grab whichever wrist and then help pull arms through and then pull the other one. And then this is the hard part.
Mm-hmm. If you get up to you want to get up to the elbows or past the elbow because it's going to let you bring your forearm back towards you. Your goal is to eventually bring the chin into the palms with the heels of the palms touch. I don't know actually if the heels of the palms have to touch. We use that as a technique to kind of bring the head forward. But the fingertips need to cover the ears eventually. And then that's supposed to mimic, being in utero. You can just hear your heartbeat.
Yeah.
So that gets you into the first position. There's actually 2 positions in Garbha Pindasana.
But we should say that at first, this is
fine, yeah.
This is fine, and you just stay here with it.
Yeah, it takes a while to get all the way into it. Quite a round back position too. Just be careful too when you're doing this that you don't get all the movement to come from jutting your chin forward. It's, you don't want to collapse your neck to get there. Try to use the strength of your arms and kind of the compression of the legs towards the torso to get your hands close enough to hold.
What I do, that's a good tip actually that you mentioned.
Oh.
What I do now that you were saying it, I realized that once my hands come into my hands come to my chin, I push the chin gently down to create that length in the back. Can you see here?
Mm-hmm. I see it because she's kind of got this like wrinkle in the back of her Baltic head, and then as she brings the chin down, it lengthens. The wrinkle disappears here. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So from here, this is 5 breaths. Drishti is your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th exhale. We go Nava, 9th vinyasa. You roll back. Yep, you're good. And you inhale, roll up, and you go clockwise, of course. And you roll around in a circle. Down, up, down, exhale, up, inhale, until you're facing forward. When you're facing forward, inhale, roll up. Oh, big up. Oh. Okay, roll back. Big roll back. Roll forward, lift up. Oh. So we're just going to try again. So you rock back and then all the way up. Hey! Into Kukkutasana. So after you're a baby, you become a rooster. And then you balance here for 5 breaths. Drishti is the nose, balancing on the hands. And then exhale, come down. Last exhale. And then inhale, dasha, you pick up, hands down. And we don't have to do this now if you don't want to. But you pick up into Lotus and Yekadasha, jump back, Chaturanga Dandasana. We can make that a separate tutorial, how to jump back from Lotus.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
This is going so great.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. Maybe you've heard, if you've heard anything about this pose, that you're supposed to rock around 9 times. If you look at Pattabhi Joyce's Yoga Mala, and then if you're into going into to study in Mysore traditionally, this is where Ashtanga is taught, comes from. Then they never mention that 9 times thing. So Shrat Ji counts to 5 when you do this pose. So it's pretty hard to do, but eventually you could roll around 5 times and then come up. Something to work towards. Usually when you start trying to do this, you rock around anywhere from 87 to 102 times. Like this.
And then you have to pause and take a break.
Yeah.
Like contemplate your life, and then you go back into like, and then another pause. Like, why?
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah.
Very normal and actually totally acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you fall over and you can right yourself, without coming out of it, acceptable.
Yeah.
Right? All of that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then as you get better at it, then you can decrease the amount of rocks.
What I find so interesting about this pose or this vinyasa too is that it requires a lot of attention. Like no matter how long you've been doing it, you can't just zone out as you've just witnessed. Like you really have to stay present with it to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that that's true for all of the poses all the time. Like it's so easy for me to just tune out.
Like the difficulty of it?
The difficulty of it, but it's like a silly difficulty because none of this is difficult for me as a movement, like separate on its own. I can demonstrate it cold, like I don't need to be warmed up. But then when I'm actually doing this rocking around and rolling up, if I'm not focused, it's like it's really 50-50 will happen.
Practical thing that we've observed is if you're wearing 2 layers, so if you're wearing like a sports bra or whatever and then a shirt on top, the friction of the shirt on the sports bra will create a burn on your back, like you get a friction burn.
Yeah. Coconut oil is great for that. It helps with the healing, but
try to avoid it in the first place.
To avoid it, when you're doing that pose, and if you are wearing 2 layers, maybe just lift the back of one layer, like lift your shirt so that it's not doing that to your skin.
Yeah, it can be pretty bad, like blood.
We've seen bloody mats and bloody towels, and it hurts. It really hurts because it's like a skin burn.
Yeah.
It's not, so don't go there.
And this is, for me, Jelena doesn't have the same thing, but for me when I'm rolling, I don't like to roll straight up and down on my spine. So when I do it, I think about rolling down the left side and rolling up the right. And I find it's like not a huge circle that I'm doing. It's more like a very thin oval, but just down the left, up the right, kind of avoids the processes of the spine, so I don't feel like I'm hitting bones. And then it also gives me that right turning direction as I go around, So I'm not going straight up and down the left, up, down the left, up the right, down the left, up the right, and that steers me in the circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't do that, but I know that that's helpful for a lot of people when I say this. And then the other thing is make sure that the rocks are small. Don't try to rock all the way to the back of your neck and then all the way up on top of your tailbone, and then that kind of takes so much effort, and the chances of you tipping over on one side are much higher. But just keep the rocks nice and small, and keep yourself contained. So keep bringing the knees towards your chest.
Yeah.
Don't let the knees come away. Don't try to open and close the body as a way to get around. Stay really nice and rounded and small rocks until you make it all the way.
Yeah, that leg pump thing that people do.
Yeah.
It's not so good. Also, it flattens your back.
Exactly, because you want to maintain your back. You want the curve in the back to allow for the rocking around. So you don't want to do that open and then close.
Mm-hmm. And then Kukkutasana, when you get there, don't fall. When you roll up, don't fall. Okay? Because you don't have anything to stop you. And it'll be terrible.
It'll be like a face plant.
Yeah, so just don't fall. Really use your fingers. Turn your hands out a little bit.
Yeah. And then the other tip, which I wasn't able to successfully do at first, is you almost, as you're rolling up, you almost want to let the knees slide down a little bit for you to come up onto your hands, find balance. And then once you're balanced there, you can try sliding the knees back up higher towards your elbow, but the knees are like below the elbow, really.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone go.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's like exhaustive on on Garbha Pindasana and Kukkutasana.
It's a lesson in letting go and not being perfect.
Yep.
I'm telling myself.
Yeah. Well, I think, once you can do something really well, you become less concerned with other people thinking you can't do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm okay with it. I mean, that's the truth of it. And so I think there's so much more to learn from seeing my struggle and seeing other people struggle than from seeing perfectionism and letting that take over. So
I see it as a huge strength of yours.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for joining us. Yeah. I'm a good husband.
That's on record.
Remember to like it, comment, tell Jelena what a good husband you think I am. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tell all your friends. Bye.
Bye.